Okay, so we have died here of laughter. That's a good one. Okay, so let's go back now to Nazarene. So where you've passed your mathematics. You're in.
I mean, I'm doing.
You're doing with
like
Kavudha.
I'm now like a year and a half into it, and he was my psychology class professor. His name is Mr. Kangede. So he was also a student counselor, and one time he called me to his office and he's like, Kambua, you have a very, very special musical gift. What are you planning to do with it? I said, well, I'd really like to study music, but I don't know what I'll be able to do with it. I don't even know where to study music here. And he's like, so who said you have to study music here?
Whoa.
Yeah, and then it opened up something in my mind, like, who said I have to study music here? It's like, don't you think you're limiting yourself? Don't you think that there's something that God has put in you that you need to explore? I mean, he said, I'm very happy that you're here doing our business administration and whatever, but don't you think that where your passion is where you need to be channeling your energy?
What?
And he said, and I was like, okay, where do I start? And he said, well, so we are the Nazarene University. We have other universities across the world and they have music programs. He told me we have universities in the US, we have universities in Canada. Can we look at them and you pick one and apply? So I was like, okay, the US. I've been to the US. I want another adventure. I said, Canada sounds good. So I looked and there was the it's called the Alliance University College and the Nazarene University College together. They are now known as Ambrose University College. So anyway, I find this university. It's in Canada, in a city called Calgary, in a province called Alberta. I have never heard of these places, but I'm like, this is where I want to go. So he's like, apply. So I apply, but then I'm also like, financially, I don't know how possible it's going to be. We're now just coming out of families, coming out of that really difficult time. And then I go home and I tell my dad that it was Christmas, I remember. And we traveled somewhere for Christmas. And he's like, I told him, Daddy, I want to talk to you about something. I really want to do music. I really want to study music. And he said, well, if you're serious, better show me that you're serious. So something like that, like a very passing comment for, it's upon you to show me how serious you want this thing. That's all I needed. I just needed that tiny nini. I went, those days we didn't have internet at home. I'd go to a cyber cafe. I sent in my application to the university. I got an acceptance letter. I sent in an application for scholarships. I got entrance scholarships. I needed to do
SATs.
The one for English. Yes, not ESL. What is it called? But anyway, English as a foreign language. I had to do those things. I applied. I did them. I passed them. Submitted them. We're good to go. I remember bringing my dad a folder of everything. School has said yes, here's my entry scholarships, here's everything. So there was still a financial chunk that they had to put in. But there was also, I had done so much. So my dad is like, how do you say no to this child? And I left for Canada 2005 December with my parents' blessings.
First and foremost, Mr. Kenneth or Professor Kenneth
Kangede. Yeah.
Makofi to that guy.
Yes.
Because for him to identify, to see your gifting and even take time out to literally push you away from the school that you're giving finance to because of the bigger picture.
Exactly.
That is some other teaching on another level.
Yeah.
And then now for even your folks to bless you as you leave, that for you, I'm sure was the affirmation that?
It was all the affirmation. I felt like the people who mattered to me believed in what I was doing. And there was a lot of skepticism from other people. Are you going to study what?
Yeah.
And then what will you do with
December
it?
2005.
December 2005.
You leave to go and study music.
Yes. So I traveled. I traveled with my mom because they're like, where is she going? We need to find out we need to be sure that she's,
Yeah.
So I traveled with my mom. She made sure I'd settled in, and then she came back. I am in a foreign country. It's in the middle of winter. I know nobody. It's Canada. It was overwhelming in many ways, but being in a music program was just the most surreal experience for me. So I started to study music.
So sorry, what's the place you go again? What's it called?
The university?
Yes.
Alliance University College, Nazarene University College. Yeah, so it was AUC and UC.
Okay.
So I started studying music. Now I had not apart from like what you study in school, which is very basic, I'd not formally studied music. So it was different and it was difficult. And I understood why people drop out of music school. By the way, a lot of people jump into music school because you imagine it's easy. We'll be singing all day long. So just music theory was hard. Learning to sight sing, you know, and I still, even now, I read very slowly because it didn't come naturally to me. Now, the classes that I thrived were singing by ear. You know, I could tell you what chord that is, our ear, because we do things by ear here naturally. And then of course performance. So it was an all-round experience. I was doing classical music, and it was a 3.5-year program.
Yo, that's a lot.
It is a lot. But I grew so much. It opened me up to so much. Somewhere in between my time in Canada, because I'd always heard of Berkeley, and I think it's every musician's dream to go to Berkeley. And the time that I had looked at Berkeley before, I was like, hey, who is going to afford the school fees? Shelve that dream for now. But then during my time in Canada, I look at Berkeley again and I realize they have other programs, shorter programs, which means they're not as expensive when you think about them. When you think about it. So I stumbled upon a performance program that they had in the summertime. They'd offer all these short programs in the summertime, and I thought, this is something I can do. So
and
again,
Kambua had told you about Berkeley. Is that where the seed was planted?
Kambua had been to Berkeley. I'd never talked to her about it, just that I knew that she had been there.
Oh, so you had heard about Berkeley as a musician. I mean,
yes.
If you're a musician, you've heard about Berkeley.
Yes. So I go ahead and I apply for this performance program, and I get accepted, and I call the folks, and I need X amount of money because the biggest music school in America has said I can go. And my folks, I absolutely have so much respect for my parents, because I don't know what they used to sell here in Kenya, you know, but they're selling something.
To make it happen.
Make it happen. And I end up in Boston in the summer to do this program at Berkeley. And I feel like it will always be like one of those points in my life that I refer to whenever I feel like I want to give up on my dream. Because Berkeley just now sparked everything. It funguad now everything for me, because Berkeley brought together musicians from everywhere. And then it didn't just bring random musicians. They are so good.
I mean, people like even Eric Wainaina in Kenya have gone there.
Exactly. Eric Wainaina had been there, and I was aware of that as well. And I was like, I mean, you honestly feel like a joker, you know, in the grand scheme of things. And I remember the VC, when he was doing the orientation the first day, he said, Berkeley is a very intimidating place. You can easily feel like I have nothing to offer, so let me just sit back. Or you can dive in and say, you know what, I'm going to swim with everybody else. So for that little while that I was there, I was like, I'm going to swim, you know, whatever the outcome, I'm going to swim. And I loved it. So because I was studying classical music back in Canada, now I'm getting an opportunity to do more contemporary sounds, jazz and all this thing. There was a lot of, I joined the gospel group, so we're doing the black gospel. I loved it, A-Star. I loved it. I don't know how else to say.
Yeah. What give us some tangible experiences that of things you did.
Yeah. So we put up performances. We had stage performances like nearly every week, and that was part of the requirements. So it wasn't just because we enjoyed doing it, though we did, but we were putting up gigs every week. So it was a very intense experience, but it was intense in a good way. it was intense. It pushed me to, you could not be a lazy artist in Berkeley. And you could, you know, as we were told, it was very easy to be invisible. And I was like, I didn't come all the way from Africa to be invisible. You'll remember me for something, you know? So I connected with some of the professors. One of the one I connected with to date her name is Nichelle. Just a brilliant voice coach. I remember Berkeley made me fall in love with Etta James, her music. Berkeley made me fall in love with Mahalia Jackson.
It opened up your mind. I mean,
completely.
And when you're saying you put up gigs, it's not just the performance. Even does that mean even inviting people to the gigs?
Yes.
So you are planning what you'd later do as gigs.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And then apart from Berkeley itself, Boston is such an alive place for creatives. It's so alive. I was living in a place very close to Harvard Square, so I felt like we blended with students from everywhere, and I don't know. It was just an experience that I would never trade for anything. So anyway, we finished Berkeley.
You're there for like just a summer, just 2-3 months.
Yes, just a summer. I got my certificate. I still have it. I treasure it forever. And came back to Canada to continue with my music degree. It also added something for me. You know, guys are like, you were in Berkeley in the summer. What did you know?
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
let me ask. When you were in the States,
yes.
I mean, when you're in Canada,
yeah.
Were you doing other jobs to get revenue, or like?
In Canada, I was actually working. I was hustling. I was seriously hustling.
Let's hear this hustle story. So, because you needed pocket money, you needed to pay your rent.
Yes. So,
or was that all being sent from home?
No. So my parents would they were doing the best they can. They would send. They made sure I was comfortable.
Yes.
But then there's other things you want to be able to do for yourself.
If you want your Chanels.
Exactly, you know.
And your shoes.
Then go shopping. So the first job that I got was working for a company called Great Events. We were catering. It was a catering company. So we would wait on people. It was a very high-end catering company. So the advantage of that was because they would never let food carry on to the next day. We would carry, like, you know, fine dining. You take fine dining home, yeah. So,
prawns and then the best of the best.
Salmon, the best of the best. But it was hard. It was very tiring work, being on your feet the whole day. I also worked.
And the tips were good.
The tips were good
because it's a high end.
Yes, the tips were good. And sometimes you actually made more from tips than what you're actually getting paid by the hour. And then I worked at, there's a place near Calgary called Banff that's very beautiful. It has it's like a tourist destination. So we worked at the hotels, we were cleaning. That's where I learned my husband, when we got married, he said, you clean really well. Like, I was trained. Learned how to clean, you know, everything, bathrooms, make beds, the whole shebang. We did that. At some point I was working, we were cleaning houses, this lady was from the Caribbean. She was not a good boss, but we worked for her and we'd go cleaning houses that she'd been contracted to clean. I did everything. I worked at a retirement home in the dining side as well. Yeah. So, and then now, eventually towards the end of my degree, my university started to now send me out to represent the college with my music, and these were paying gigs. So they'd send me out with like an accompanist, a pianist or something, and I could do less of the cleaning and the whatever, and just really be in a space that I loved. So making money, but doing what I actually love to do.
And can I ask about your church experience Kambua, the reason why I'm asking this, people leave the country and they get lost.
Yes.
You get what I mean? They go abroad and it's very easy to get lost in that system. And sometimes it's just because of the financial strain and things like that, but also the culture. Did you have a church? Why did you root yourself in church even when you went?
Not immediately.
Okay.
So when I got there, for a while I was doing because the university was a Christian university, and you have to go to chapel every whatever. So I was plugged into that, but not I hadn't yet found a church that I wanted to go to. Punde si punde, I started to meet people, and I feel like the first group of people I met were probably not the best influence, for me. But I connected with them because people from home, you know, we speak the same language. Hiya, you know, we can have nyama choma and all that stuff. So I met these people in my life. So for the first time in my life, I remember setting foot in a club.